Hey, what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Inoue versus Neri breakdown video. The breakdown and prediction video, as we are gonna break down this huge undisputed title fight that takes place Monday, May 6th from Japan, as it'll be on ESPN. And again, it is for the undisputed Super Bantamweight Championship of the world at 122 pounds. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So if you haven't seen my breakdown videos before, I pretty much talk about the fight, what it means, what's at stake. Then I get into each fighter, and in this fight, it's an undisputed title fight. We have one champion on one side and one challenger, so we will always start with the champion first, discuss what he's done coming in, and all that, and then I will get into the same exact thing for the challenger in this contest, Luis Neri. And then at the end, I ask a couple, is it better for boxing, one or the other, and then I give my prediction. So let's jump in and talk about this huge undisputed title fight that's coming your way on May 6th on ESPN Plus. Well, first off, it's a big fight. So people should not just write this fight off or just think that Inoue is gonna roll over another opponent. Because, hey, first off, he very well could, because he pretty much is the pound for pound best fighter in boxing. Him and Terrence Crawford pretty much are sharing that award right now, in my opinion. But he is fighting the best the division has to offer. He wants to stay here, at least for this year, and establish himself. And his plan is a 3-fight plan, and for the most part, 2 of those 3 fights are going to be against his mandatory challengers. And the third one could be against another one, or it could be against Casimero. But Inoue is hungry coming into this. Now, his last 3 fights date back to December of 2022, where he became the undisputed Bantamweight champion of the world at 118 pounds with a one-sided 11th round knockout victory over little-known Paul Butler. Butler was a WBO champion, just posed really no threat. He didn't do anything. He looked like he was just there to survive and go 12 rounds, and he would not be able to finish, as Inoue put him away in the 11th and became undisputed champion at 118, becoming one of, I think at the time, only about 8, 9, 10 guys that had ever become undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. Then in July of 2023, last year, he would officially move up to 122 pounds super bantamweight and challenge the #1 fighter in the division, the undefeated and unified champion Stephen Fulton Jr. And he would surprisingly, this was very much considered a 50-50 fight. He would absolutely dominate Stephen Fulton Jr., a consummate boxer, a bigger fighter. He would pick Fulton apart, dominating him and stop him in the 8th round to capture the unified championship at 122. Then in his last fight, that was in December of last year, 2023, he would challenge fellow unified champion Marlon Tapalis of the Philippines to become an undisputed champion at 122, and he would accomplish that goal with an impressive 10th round knockout victory over the veteran Tapalis, as he became the undisputed champion in a 2nd weight class, becoming only the 2nd fighter to do so in the 4-belt era. Terrence Crawford accomplished that feat 5 months earlier when he destroyed Errol Spence Jr. last year. So Inoue, though, obviously became the fastest man to do it, as he did his 2 undisputed title wins of the 4-belt era within a year of each other. That was so utterly impressive. His last 3 fights, in terms of what he's accomplished, you could say he's on his best winning streak of his career. in terms of it, 3 fights. I mean, you know, he's only had 1 winning streak. He's undefeated, 26-0. But Naoya Inoue, the monster, is just that. He's a monster, and he is just on a serious tear and a roll. He's considered by a lot to be the pound-for-pound king of boxing, and he's rolling into this fight very hungry against Luis Neri. Now, what does he need to do to win this fight? Well, he's very evenly matched in terms of size with Neri. You know, he just has a 2.5-inch reach advantage. They're the same height at 5'5". Inoue, you know, definitely he's 2 years older. So, but I really don't think none of that factors in. I think what Inoue needs to take from the lone defeat of Luis Neri is that Brandon Figueroa overwhelmed him with size and body shots. Neri was winning that fight against Figueroa when Figueroa stopped him in the 7th round on body shots. So I think Inoue needs to focus on the body. Partly because that's what broke him down with Figueroa, but the other part is because Neri has not been a full distance in the same time frame of Inoue. You know, he hasn't gotten the full distance. The last time, I don't even know if it was a 12-round fight when he beat Carlos Castro by a split decision. So, obviously, it's been a while for Neri since he's been a full 12 rounds. And Inoue's goal should be to break down the body and set him up, but also not overlook Luis Neri. Luis Neri is one of the most talented fighters that Inoue's ever fought. And you might not agree with that, but he is. He's only lost 1 time in his career. He was winning the fight against Figueroa. Figueroa was vastly bigger than him as a super bantamweight. And he's also I believe a 2-division world champ. Might be, yeah, I think he's a 2-division world champion. So Luis Neri brings a lot of experience into this fight, and he's a very good fighter, and he does not mind getting into a scrap and going for it. So Naoya Inoue needs to use his hand speed. He needs to use his boxing ability and use that 2.5-inch reach advantage by throwing combinations, jabbing, not just getting forced into a firefight, but he also doesn't want to get caught with a big shot either, because Neri does have pop. So I just think if Inoue comes in fully focused, he has a very good chance of winning this fight. Now, can he win this fight by knockout? Absolutely. Naoya Inoue has insane power. He can knock people out early, middle, late. You know, it just depends on how he hits you and when he hits you and where he hits you. Can he win by a decision? Yes, I think he can. Do I favor this fight if Inoue wins, going the distance or by knockout? I favor Inoue to win more by knockout if he wins this fight. Now, what does a win mean for Naoya Inoue? Well, he's expected to win this fight, in all fairness. He's a sizable favorite coming in. So a win, it would mean a lot in terms of obviously keeping his undisputed title, keeping his undefeated record intact. So it'd mean a lot there. Would it be the biggest one of his career? No. But it'd be a good one. It'd be a good name on his resume and a good challenge. And again, it's definitely one of the best fighters he's fought. So it's somebody he definitely should, a win would definitely be good for him in his resume. Now, what does a loss mean for Inoue? Any kind of loss absolutely hurts Naoya Inoue. Absolutely hurts him. Like, drops him from the pound for pound talk, really brings him down to a certain level, because again, this is one of those fights where I think a lot of people figure how good Luis Neri is. Maybe he's better than we thought, but he's definitely a really good fighter. But because we've seen him lose, I think people kind of have an assumption of how good he really is. We still don't know how good Naoya Inoue is. And that's the big deal here going into this fight that I'm looking at heading in. So I'm hoping that, a loss really like I said, takes him off that major pedestal. Now let's switch over to the challenger here, the former 2-division world champion, Luis Neri, as he heads into this fight. So Neri, his last 3 fights date back to October of 2022, when he when he defeated some unknown guy by a 3rd round TKO. Then his last one, or the next fight, was in February of last year, when he went to war with Azat Hovhannissian as they fought to become the mandatory challenger. And in what I deem the fight of the year, he survived he was winning the fight early on in a back and forth fight. He seemed to have the edge first 4 or 5 rounds, and then Hovhannissian turned the tables and took the momentum, and seemingly after 10 rounds it was a very even fight in terms of the score. But heading into that 11th round, it looked like Hovhannissian had the momentum and could score a stoppage or at least win the championship rounds. And then Nery landed that just monster left hand that hurt Hovhannissian badly. He capitalized on it and, won the fight in dramatic fashion. Again, it was my fight of the year. A huge win for Luis Neri as he put himself in this position to fight for the undisputed title. Huge win. Then he would return just less than 5 months later, when he took on another unknown, little-known opponent, Stay Busy fight, and I think he got a TKO victory in that one as well. And now he heads into this fight coming off of a 10-month layoff. After that war with Hovhannissian, I think he needed the layoff to be fully prepared for Naoya Inoue. And I really believe Luis Neri's hungry. He absolutely believes in himself. And I think he's absolutely coming to win. He's not coming to be the other guy in this fight. He's a very talented, experienced guy who's only lost once in his career in a fight that he was winning against a much bigger super bantamweight in Brandon Figueroa. And Luis Neri is fearless. He's just a fearless fighter, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he can threaten, if at all, the quote-unquote pound-for-pound king right now in Naoya Inoue, or co-king, if that makes sense. So he's definitely hungry though and ready for this fight. Now, what does he need to do to win this fight? And to be honest, one, he needs to be built for 12 rounds in this one. He really needs to have his stamina needs to be there. He needs to be ready to do what he normally does, which is a combination of boxing and punching. But I think he should start off by counter punching to see what Inoue brings at him, and then he should also attack a little bit to throw Inoue's rhythm off. And that to me is the key to a good performance and the best opportunity he might have of scoring an upset here. So he definitely needs to bring his A game, mix up his plan, and again throw the rhythm off of the monster. Can Neri win this fight by knockout? I've only really ever seen Neri get hurt against Nonito Donaire, who was a big bantamweight at 118. And he wasn't hurt badly. So Neri, though, the one thing about Neri is he perfectly times his shots. If he could land a clean ass shot, I think he can hurt Inoue. I do, but I don't know if he can knock him out. I really don't. Now, can Neri win by a decision? I think that might be his best bet, is winning by a decision. Now, maybe he can win by a decision. Maybe. What do I think the odds are of Neri if he pulls off this victory? Do I think a decision or knockout is more likely? I think it's probably more likely by a decision, but he's such an underdog coming into this fight that it's honestly, it's tough to see any kind of path to victory because Inoue is so fucking good, you know. But that doesn't mean Neri doesn't stand a chance, because I believe he does. Now, can Neri win? Or well, okay. So what does a win mean for Luis Neri in this fight? It means everything. If he can score and upset any kind of victory over Naoya Inoue, the monster, that would be just monumental to his career. It would just seal the deal on his career. That possibly would be the victory that guarantees him the Hall of Fame. And it just, you know, the big fights just come rolling in after that. He becomes a huge pull and name in boxing. What does a loss mean for Luis Neri? It really depends on how he loses. But even if he gets dominated in this fight, I don't think a lot of people think he's going to win this fight anyways. So a loss, I mean, it obviously hurts him, especially if he gets dominated by the very talented Inoue. Then people are going to be like, well, he's not on that level. But not many people are right now. Almost nobody is on that level of Inoue, at least in those divisions. So if Inoue wins by a destructive knockout, let's say, I don't think, Neri can just recover and come back if he wants. And he's probably not going to move up in weight, to 126. So he could probably come back and make one last run at featherweight and still be effective and a very good fighter and a world champion again. I absolutely believe that. So, yeah, that's what I think about a loss for Neri. He's really coming in with nothing to lose kind of deal. He has to have that attitude because he's going into enemy territory, fighting, the pound for pound king of boxing right now. So this is not a fight that anybody's expecting him to win, and it's gonna be tough. So now that we've done that, here's a question. Is it better for boxing if Naoya Inoue retains his undisputed title, or if Luis Neri becomes the new undisputed champion? Well, boxing needs its superstars, and Naoya Inoue is one of those superstars. He's also an undefeated, highly talented fighter, and boxing needs those. They definitely need those. Even though Inoue's a little bit older, Nery's been around for a minute, and it wouldn't be bad for boxing if Neri won this fight. I don't think it'd be bad for boxing. It'd be a good story. But Inoue to keep his star on the rise, that's the best option here for boxing. And I really hope we can see that's where it lands right there. It's sizably better if Naoya Inoue wins this fight. Now, finally, my prediction. Who wins this undisputed title fight between Naoya Inoue and Luis Neri for the undisputed super bantamweight championship of the world? And as I said earlier, I find it very difficult to see a path to victory for Luis Neri just because Naoya Inoue is so utterly good right now. But if there is one guy that is fearless and wouldn't surprise me to put on a performance like Donaire did in the first fight with Inoue, it would be a guy like Luis Neri. So I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it could be competitive for at least for a few rounds. And then we're just gonna have to see how the wheels come off and see what happens. But Inoue by knockout, middle rounds to later rounds. But I do think Nery's gonna get his shots in, and I do think he's a live underdog. But it's a tall task for him to pull this one off. So we'll see. But that's it. That's what I got. That's my Inoue versus Neri breakdown and prediction video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.